till 13th October 2023. I'm thankful for the organizers from IoT Academy for inviting me for this session, and indeed a very useful session and useful event. I'm saying useful not only for the personality development of teacher, but also for building the smart nation in future. Each and every session is completely dedicated with the overall development of teaching learning method. And today my session is about design thinking for teachers of higher education institutions. Let me share my presentation. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible, ma'am.
Now let's start with the session. That is the agenda for this session is consists of 6 points. First thing is introduction about the topic, that is the design thinking and phases of design thinking, principles of design thinking, the role of design thinking in education, and the transformation from traditional thinking to the design thinking. And in the end, we will conclude the session with question answering. Okay, now next thing is what is actually the design thinking? Design thinking is about changing the thought process from traditional thinking to more human-centric and creative one. It is non-linear, iterative process that teams use to understand the users, the teams who are working together for a common cause, and it also challenge the assumptions and redefine problems in order to solve the problem in a creative way. In the field of education, in routine, we face a lot of problems in dealing with different students, different types of students, and students from different backgrounds. It creates the innovative solution to prototype the process for later use and test the method for generations, and it manages to solve the problem in a creative way. Overall, design thinking is looking upon every task to solve with an unconventional methodology. Now, let's discuss about the phases of design thinking. We have 5 phases of design thinking. First is empathize. Second,
sorry to interrupt, ma'am.
Yes.
The slides are not moving.
Okay.
It's not changing. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. It's correct. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Now, we were discussing about the 5 phases of design thinking. First thing is empathize. Second is define. Third is ideate. Fourth one is prototype. And fifth is test. These 5 phases are split into 3 major components of learning and implementation process. These are understand, explore, and materialize. In empathy and define phase, the team will be able to understand the actual requirement of the user. In education, our users is our students. So we'll consider wherever I say user, our students are there. The team then can empathize with the user and see the outcome from user's perspective. From the middle of define phase, during the ideate phase, And up to the prototype phase, the team will explore the various ways to solve the problem in an innovative way. From the middle of prototype and up to the test phase, the team will actually materialize the method of success of process. Now let's discuss about the first phase of design thinking, and let's move deeper into each of these phases. In the empathy phase, the team perform research and analyze to know the current DEI state. Here, DEI stands for the diversity, equity, and inclusion. The diversity we are facing in everyday life, the equity among all the participants, and inclusion of every participants in the process. The good design idea comes from continuous focus on human-centric ideas. The design thinking not only encourages us to gain the DEI solutions, but also eliminates barriers for professionals who are aiming to achieve their career aspirations for fair and good opportunities. Being empathy is very first stage of design thinking. We should empathize with our students. We should empathize with our users that aims to focus on users' requirement. In this stage, it is very important to focus on in-depth matrices like prediction and prescriptive analysis. Now, next type of basically empathize field addresses the divergent styles of thinking. Now let's come to the second phase of design thinking, which is define process. The define phase is about understanding we gain from empathize phase encourages us to reframe the perceived problem and gain perspectives. But the define process helps us to allow the more holistic look at the path towards the expected solution. We are defining the problem in a very crisp way, and we also ensure that every associate follow the problem solving process correctly. The phase helps us to build with more authentic solutions. This stage encourages us to analyze our observations, identify the core problem, focus on asking the right issues, and motivate users with the right word or the wise words. The selection of words while motivating our students and while motivating the users plays a very important role in defining a problem. So it also addresses the convergent style of thinking to manage the overall process and the purpose. Now, let's come to the ideation phase, that is the third state of design thinking. This phase will let the team to be able to uncover more possibilities and accept the maximum ideation. It involves with the actual implementation of methods proposed as the deliverable of defined phase. Being an experimental phase, the aim of this stage is to solve issues by identifying the best solution. The designer of all areas means each and every areas. The design thinking can be implementable, or we can implement design thinking phases into each and every area that aims to strategize the solutions for the problems identified in the defined phase. The very first step of ideate phase is to isolate the solution stream so that we can find out the better way around, and then later merge and refine the insights also. In simple terms, the ideate phase, the designer focus on sharing the ideas and prioritizing the ideas based on the requirements of our users. The educators then can find the alternative way to reach to every kind of learners, from slow learners to the fast learners. So we can say that the ideate phase be able to uncover more possibilities and accept the maximum ideation. Now let's come to the next phase, that is the prototype phase. The prototype phase. It actually involves with preparing a model or some kind of document or setting a real example after implementing the idea generated in the previous phase. So, a prototype is an early sample of model submitted to the user for validation. The prototype are mid to high fidelity wireframes with more visual details and interaction between the elements of the design. For example, if we have already created any prototype or any document based on the method we have adopted in our lectures or in our classes, we should document it in a proper way, and so that any other faculty member or any other teacher can implement the same method which is already fruitful and proved to be fruitful for our sessions. The feedback is taken from users and it rework the flaws in the prototype model in order to present the stronger final product. In simple terms, we can say that the proposed solution is validated in this stage in a cost-effective way before actually launching the full-fledged product. That is, we have already transformed a slow learners to the fast learner. The product here can be any productive solution provided in this stage. Okay. Now, let's come to the next type, that is the testing phase. The testing phase is a very crucial phase for design thinking. As the user's feedback in any process is an important aspect of process design, we have to collect the valuable user feedback to be improved. If we have received a user's feedback in terms of changing our methods, we can reiterate from the ideation process or ideation phase. The insights collected during the testing phase will push you to iterate on the prototype model. The iteration will enable you to identify the limitation of whole process, be it in the empathy phase or in define phase, or whether you left something in the ideation phase. It always helps you to rediscover the flaws you left in between. This phase also helps you to gain a deeper understanding of your targeted users. Different designs or prototypes are sent to different users, and it tests the performance or usability for each version. Here, one more time, I want to quote that your users are our students. It finalizes the design version that is found to be more desired and usable. In this phase, the usability testing tools are used for optimizing the user's experience. Now, let's discuss about the fact why so importance is given to design thinking process. Why it is so important in every industry, and why traditional thinking is now transforming into design thinking process. There are four major factors that that is a reason for importance given to design thinking model. First thing is, it aims to solve the concrete human need. The process is more human centric rather than the product centric. It tackles problems that are ambiguous or difficult to define. It leads to more innovative solution, and it makes organization run faster and more efficiently. Let's discuss in detail how it aims to solve the concrete human need. So using an observational human-centric approach, teams can uncover the pain points from user. By adopting this method, even we can have a close mentorship with our students, and we can also uncover the pain points of our students that they had not previously thought of. One that user may not be even aware of. Sometimes a close discussion with our students, what is the real problem in learning something, learning the concepts. So adopting the human-centric approach always helps a faculty to identify the real cause where the students find problem in learning something. The design thinking can provide solution to those pain points once they are identified. The problem can be only solved when we have already identified it. Now, second point is tackle ambiguous problems. So users often don't know what problem they have that needs solving, or they can't verbalize it. A careful observation is required so that one can identify the problems based on what they see from real behavior of user, rather than simply working off their ideas of the users. This helps define ambiguous problems and in turn make it easier to surface the solutions. Now, the third type is leads to more innovative solutions. Design thinking approaches always leads to the innovative solutions as a team is dedicatedly work on finding the innovative solutions and replacing the root cause of a problem. So humans are not capable of imagining things that are not believed to be possible, which make it impossible for them to ask for things that do not yet exist. Design thinking can help surface some of these unknown pain points that would otherwise have never been known. Using an iterative approach to tackle those problems often lead to non-obvious and innovative solutions. Design thinking approach always makes organizations run faster. Rather than researching a problem for a long time without devising the outcome, the design thinking favors creating prototypes and then testing to see how effective they are. Educators also aims to get the real outcome of their teaching, which is more required outcome of the higher education. Now, the question arises, what are the limitations of traditional thinking model and why design thinking is a solution over the old process? In the traditional thinking, there was lot of reports and documentation were there. The educators, the team members, the designers, all are involved in creating the reports and documentations of for the implemented things. Second thing is they are all scared of filling the formats. Third thing is the certainty is the key in traditional thinking. In traditional thinking, the major focus was on the solution, and the team always considered that we will certainly find the solution for the product. And if there is a failure, then they start the process from the beginning, but they do not consider the real cause of the problem. And they want it perfect in the first time. And also, they talk about the idea rather than actually implementing the idea. But in design thinking, it shows by creating and implementing the process through prototype, not only telling the solution. It involves with learning from failure rather than just change the methodology. Also, it deals with embracing the ambiguity or any of this which is difficult to define during the study. In design thinking, we need to iterate again and again if required results are not found till the achievement of required results. It is about making your own idea rather than just talking about the idea. Now let's move on to the principles of design thinking. The most important thing is that the design thinking can be applied to any field. It does not necessarily to be to have to be design specific. It is both the ideology and a process. It is extremely user centric. It revolves around the deep interest in developing an understanding of people for whom we are designing the product or service. It helps us observe and develop empathy with the users. Actually, it involves the constant testing and iteration to go from best practice to the better practices. It supports the idea of fail early and fast by prototyping to build early stage version of the idea and testing it at the small level to see what actually works for them, and gathering the data to decide what makes sense, either to move your idea backward, tweak it, and scrap it. So, a famous designer, Frank Chimero, also said that people ignores design that ignores people. So, there are four principles of design thinking: human centric, embrace the ambiguity, redesign, and tangibility. Let's discuss each of these principles. First thing is human centric. Human centric point of view is very important. No matter what the context, all design activity is social in nature, and any social innovation will bring us back to the human centric point of view, which means that your users should be in the center of design of products or service. A user centric design means understanding what your users need, how they think, how they behave, and incorporating the understanding of users' need into every aspect of your process. When you can empathize with them and take inspirations from their need, feelings, and motivation, your team can create meaningful solutions to the actual problems. Instead of just creating the innovation, you can rather interact with your users to find the solution for this particular problem. Next thing is embracing the ambiguity. As we all know, ambiguity is inevitable and cannot be removed or oversimplified. Experimenting the limits of your knowledge and ability is crucial in being able to see things differently. Instead of trying to think of one perfect solution, think about reframing your problem and looking at it from all conceivable angles to get several possible solutions. It is about looking at multiple ways to solve a problem. Some of the ideas might not work, but some other ideas can bring the fantastic solutions for the problem. Third principle is redesign. Any implementable idea that can be redesigned with more innovative approach will bring the wonderful solutions. So we can say that all designs is redesign. While technology and social circumstances may change and evolve, basic human needs remain unchanged. For example, ease of use, adaptability, understanding, etc. So we essentially only redesign the mean of fulfilling these needs or reaching the desired outcomes. And fourth principle is the tangibility that involves with the effective communication. Making ideas tangible in the form of prototypes, designers to communicate them more effectively. It enables the users also to understand the concept behind making a fruitful design. After gathering the ideas, one shall start experimentation or building the prototypes. The experimentation or building prototypes helps to realize which ideas work and which ones don't work for this problem. Experimentation also allows you to find out whether we are going in the right direction or not. Hypothesizing and testing will determine what changes will lead to an easier and frictionless or more intuitive path. The idea already implemented by one faculty member can then be adapted by the other faculty members so that we can cross verify the solutions and the results out of it. Now, next thing is, what are the roles of design thinking in higher education? The design thinking plays a very important role in understanding and establish a connect with students of higher education institution. On daily basis, we can see there are challenges in making a new generation students to understand the concept, to learn the traditional concepts also, and how to manage their behavior and their nowadays problems, and we can implement the new innovative methods for their learning. Teachers should be able to use the design thinking to help students understand the importance of problem solving and creative thinking. By leveraging the design thinking process, teachers can help students come up with the creative solutions to the problem they face in their education and beyond also. We have to create a close connection with the students. Now, let's implement the phases of design thinking with our education or teaching learning process. We have to empathize with our students. A close mentoring is a way towards creating a connect and empathize with our students who are already dealing with a lot of social, professional, physical, and mental challenges. Whether the problems are associated with their personal lives, whether they are the problem associated with their social lives or professional life or the learning life, a close mentoring is always required. The teacher can empathize with student by language, interest, and can connect more with student rather than reflecting their professional role. The task given to an educator is not only to teach the subject, to complete the curriculum, and follow the organizational tradition. The task of an educator is way beyond this professional role. Applying a human-centric approach always gives fruitful results and can make a larger impact on future's perspective. Now, next thing is defining a problem. As a faculty of higher education, the define process involves with focusing more on attaining the expected results from the student. A close observation should be there on the continuous evaluation of slow learners. We have to closely observe the behavior of slow learners, the habits of slow learners, and find out the real cause of problem. As the students of higher education institutions are dealing with lot of social pressures, and they are also dealing with the physical and mental changes. So faculty members should identify the core problem a student is facing for not achieving the required results. Mere documentation cannot solve a routine life problem faced by a student. So it is very important to define the problem faced by a slow learner. A faculty member can also motivate the student with wise words. Now, first and foremost step in ideation is to isolate the students with slow learning capability from rest of the class. We should not compare our students who are slow learners with the students who are fast learners. The isolation will make teachers well understand the situation in students' perspective also. You have to drag you down to the student level, and that will help in making you enable to understand the problem. A teacher can apply different methods to make student understand the concept. And by this way, from students level, you can uplift your students to your level. The teacher student duo can share ideas based on requirements to enhance the interest on study. Next is creating a prototype of the idea. All the methods applied by a faculty member on slow learner should be well documented and well researched also. The identifiable problems can then be a faculty member should note down these problems and also note down the solution of each problems identified. The feedback then can be taken by other teachers so that teacher can rework on the flaws and gaps left in earlier method. The most effective and efficient method can be implemented on all the similar problems arises while teaching the students of all categories of intellects. Some faculty members may find some other types of problems, and other faculty members may find some different types of problems with the solution with the students. We can achieve the behavior and we can achieve the problems of all students of all genres. We can find out the solutions of all types of identifiable problems. Now, next type is testing the method. For example, one solution or one prototype has been documented and created by one faculty members can be tested by the other faculty members also. So collecting a feedback from other fellow colleagues who has implemented the same prototyping model will result that whether the prototyping model has succeeded or it needs to be improved. It also provides a clear concept to specify the need of iteration on prototyping phase. If I find something different after testing a particular method, I can always go back to the ideation method and find some different results. This phase will give faculty members a clear understanding on behavior and the learning capability of the students also. Now, see where we have transformed from traditional thinking to the design thinking. Talking about transformation from traditional thinking methodology to the design thinking methodology in the field of higher education, that will definitely help the educator to make their teaching learning process more effective and efficient. For educators, it lets the change in improving teaching learning method. It helps the teachers to identify the root cause of problem in learning. It also enhances the employability of students from higher education institutions. Design thinking skills in education enable students to identify and generate the innovative solutions for the problems they face. Design thinking is actually a strategy for empathizing and using the additional tool to innovate and solve problem creatively. How a faculty members can actually creatively solve the problem for students in learning. Students who can solve complex problems are named as institute workers for the society. Most importantly, before implementing design thinking into education industry rather, first the educators and the students should be well versed about the concept. Now let's conclude the session. Design thinking, we have learned so far, that is an extension of innovation that allows you to design solutions for end user with a single problem statement in mind. It not only imparts valuable skills but can help advancement in your career. As a teacher also, one can uplift their own career, one can uplift their own mental ability, their logical thinking, and it also collaborative endeavor that can only be mastered through practice with a peer. Like all faculty members or educators, we have seen that with the experience, our teaching also refined. So, to finding the solution by design thinking methods, we can refine our logical thinking and perspective towards the students also. The learning outcome of this lecture is to closely map all phases of design thinking with teaching learning pedagogy of higher education institution. The faculty members should maintain a human-centric approach for teaching, defining the real-world problems to the learners, ideate the prototype define, and test the success of adopted method. So, This is all about design thinking methodology. If you have any questions, you can ask, please. Thank you.